My favorite author and the author of The Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien, once said, "It's a dangerous business going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there is no knowing where you will be swept off to." Hi, my name is Malayna, and by the time I finish this speech, I hope to encourage at least one of you in this room to go and visit another country at least once in your life. Because for me, it was a life-changing experience. Before I moved or visited Budapest, Hungary, I had a very boring life. I was from the South. I lived there in Memphis, Tennessee my whole life. I maybe moved houses every few years when I lived down there, and I never really experienced what another culture is like until 2006 when I stepped onto my first plane. And when I got off that plane and stepped out of the airport in Budapest, Hungary, I could tell that the air smelled different. But not different in a bad way. Different like if you were going to a friend's house. It, might be a little weird to you at first, but the smell grows on you and you eventually come to love it. And one of my favorite smells of Hungary is during the winter time. They have these little winter markets. They're little pop-up shops along all the railways and train stations, and they have little trinkets and little traditional outfits that you can buy, and they have the food. The food is the best part for me. They have a warm spiced wine, and they have roasted chestnuts, but my favorite is this pastry that I've grown to love, and sadly I can no longer pronounce it correctly, but this is the word, and I'm going to play a sound so that you can hear what it sounds like.
Kürtös
And if you break down the word, the first part, kütős, it means chimney in Hungarian, and kolács means cake. And it literally means chimney cake because it's a spiral cake that's fluffy and it's golden brown, it's covered in cinnamon and sugar, and it's one of the best things I've ever eaten. I've sadly not made it over here yet, but I don't have the techniques and stuff that I need to. But I will eventually make my way to finding the recipe to make it correctly. And that also brings me into my next point about visiting another country. It's life-changing in several aspects, but mostly because of the food. You can bring home a new dish and share it with friends, or learn the recipes so you can at least try it over here. It might not be as best as what's made over there, but it's something that you can bring home and let your friends experience a new culture. And over in any country, they have all these fresh markets and butchers where you can actually see your meat cut or get fresh vegetables every day. And even if you're afraid to try anything, you should always try at least one fruit or vegetable that you've never seen before. Because even if you don't like the flavor of it, it's still a good experience for everybody to know, so you can bring those ideas back home and have your friends try them. And over there in Hungary, for example, you had to go to a fresh market every day. You had to, because the fridges over there are like half the size that they are here, and it encouraged you to experience life in a different way. And it's something that makes you, feel like you're from there even if you're not. And that brings me to my last point. When it comes to language, it's important to know at least some when you go to those fresh markets and when you go to the butcher shop, to be able to understand and be able to communicate with these people. Even if you don't know the full language, if you know just enough, they will help you out most of the time. I know that most of the world in business speaks English because that's the main language, but if you go to another country, it's easier for someone on the street to help you out if you're speaking at least partially some of their language. I know, for example, language is not something that you lose at customs at the airport. It's not something that can be stolen. It's something that sticks with you for life if you plan for it. Like, for example, when I'm out grocery shopping with my mother, I yell "anyu," which is the Hungarian word for mother, because I know that whenever I call out to her, she's the only one that really knows what I'm saying, and she'll be the first one to respond. And you can also bring up to your friends and see how they horribly mispronunciate things, and it's a lot of fun to actually show people your life experience and let them feed off of what you experienced. And even if it doesn't make them go right away, it'll still be in the back of their mind that they even want to go up to Canada or down in Mexico, somewhere that's not the United States, to get culture. And if you're afraid of flying or afraid of going anywhere because of all the things in the world and all the hate and evil, another quote by my favorite author, J.R. Tolkien, is this: "The world is indeed full of peril, and in it there are many dark places, but there's still much that is fair. And though in all lands love is now mingled with grief, it grows perhaps the greater." And I hope that with that quote and with what I've said, you will possibly go out and go to another country. Because I could talk to you from dusk until dawn about all the things how beneficial it is for you to go to another country, but unless you actually do it yourself, you'll never know what you're missing out on.